Okay, so now that you've set up trifecta to use at home, you'll notice that the Brew button light is a solid blue. So let's get right into it. You can lift the latch to take out the brew chamber. And then I like to measure coffee using the scale and the scoop that come with the machine. So you can use any container. I'm using this silver tin, but you can put any container onto the scale. Just make sure you zero out by pressing the T for getting the tare weight. And then I'm going to do a recipe that's getting to 21 grams here. 21 grams with 10 ounces of water, but you can play around with what suits your taste. That's just something I found that has worked. So I've ground this coffee to a drip to really a coarse grind of coffee. I'll put the chamber back into the machine, close the latch, and now I'm going to pour 10 ounces of water. Since the water reservoir is inside of the machine, I'm going to fill the water up to the top 10-ounce marking. So the top of the 10-ounce box. And then we are ready to brew. I'm going to choose my turbulence cycle and infusion time. I tested this coffee. I know I want it to be D50, but that happens to be a setting that I like. Turbulence cycle D, infusion time 50, and then just press the brew button and we get started. Remember to place your container underneath on the drip tray that'll hold at least the amount that you put into the water reservoir, because that is what will get pressed out. So you can see the first infusion of water into the brew chamber. This is the pre-wetting stage of the turbulence cycle. The infusion time actually hasn't kicked on yet until all the water is inside the chamber. But you can see, again, the water entering the chamber, starting to mix with the coffee. We saw a little bit of the action with the turbulence. And now here is the full cycle where the infusion time is now going. If you look really closely inside, and what's so neat about trifecta is that you can actually see the brew process happening. You can actually see the particles of coffee moving about in and amongst the bubbles. One of the things that's interesting, and you should do regularly to help keep the machine clean, is to brew a water-only brew cycle. So pour water into the chamber and just pour water into the reservoir and just run a cycle with water only. And then you can actually see the bubbling that exists during a typical brew with coffee. So what trifecta here is doing is trying to pull out different nuances of coffees. This particular coffee I'm brewing right now is from El Salvador, and it has different characteristics than a coffee that might be grown in Africa or another coffee growing origin. So this is the press out. The trifecta uses air to press the beverage out of this fine gauge metal screen that's in the bottom of the chamber. And so what we're really trying to do is press out. The machine is trying to get as much liquid out of the chamber as possible so you can enjoy it in your cup. That pressing through the fine metal filter also gives us more oils and aromatics than you usually get with other brew methods. So there's just a couple final seconds here, and you can see that final press out drips into the chamber, and now you're ready to serve and enjoy. If you put your cup, you can just start to drink, or you might want to have a tasting at home and share with your spouse or your roommates or some friends that have come over some delicious coffee. We recommend that right after you brew, you clean the chamber. You can remove the chamber by unlatching the lid, and then taking this to a garbage can to dispose of the grounds, and then to the sink to rinse out the chamber. So that's it. It's really that simple, brewing with trifecta at home.